Okay, so good afternoon. Yes.
I think you forgot Jacqueline Armstrong.
Did I? I did. All right, you're on here now. Thanks, good looking out. I got Vanessa. I got Stolly. I didn't have Jacqueline, but I got you now. Okay, so like Donovan said, today we're going to frost his hair. So we're gonna use the cap. I know a lot of you have been doing hair color with, foils and just regular hair coloring, but today we're gonna pull his hair through this cap and give him some highlights. Gave him a perm last week. He's brushed it out, so it's kind of like wild hair. But yeah, I did give him a perm last week. Down here in this tail, not gonna put so much bleach down there because it's pretty frag. A few things about these hooks that we're gonna be using. These come in different sizes. So that you can look, they're just like crochet hooks. Anyone crochet? Anyone ever crochet? No, I know, that's kind of Brenda says, kind of, sort of. Oh, I can't get that off, there we go. Let's see. So these are metal hooks. They come in different sizes. This one is a 0.75, 0.75 of what? I'm not sure what it is. This is a 1. This is a 0.6.
What?
This is just one that comes in a package when you buy your frosting hooks. This is a lot larger. This is a plastic one that I don't like. I think it's really, really big. So I prefer these metal ones because I think they're a little bit sharper on the ends. A little trick with these things too is you can actually take a nail file like an emery board and just kind of file the edge of this off and get it a little bit sharper. But we do want to make sure we don't like stab our client. So I think I'm going to go with the 1 because I like this size. I like the way it looks. We have the frosting cap. Those of you that watched the frosting caps that we did on the mannequin head, it's basically the same thing. One thing about this frosting cap is it has a liner in it. I don't know if you can see that, but there's like a plastic bag here, a plastic bag there. So we don't have to put a liner in it. But if there's no plastic bag, you're going to want to put plastic on the hair first because you want that extra layer of protection from just the thin layer that the cap is made out of onto the hair, because you don't want the product to like seep in through these holes and then look like little cheetah spots, unless that's what you're going for. But we're not going for cheetah spots today.
Yep.
So
1 second.
Okay, so I'm just brushing his hair a little bit better than what he did, tangle free. And I want to make sure that I really brush it. If this hair was a little bit, if it felt still kind of rough, not real smooth when I was brushing it, I would probably put a little bit of hair serum in here just to sort of smooth that down a little bit so it will come through the holes a little bit easier. Now to apply this, I'm going to start right in the center here. And I'm just going to pull this down over his ears. Now, if he had hair on his ears, I'd make sure it was back a little bit more. Wait, I don't like the way that went on. I don't like the way that went on. So luckily I can take it off and redo it.
My head grew.
Your head did grow. Got a fat head. Put his ears in there. Okay. So I'm gonna have him tie this around his neck after he fixes his ears.
A ninja.
And now, depending on
Did someone say something?
He called you a ninja.
Wow.
so now depending on how
Donovan look like he ready for the snow.
the snow.
I wish. Okay.
It's not ready for the snow yet. I still want
You look like Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat.
Okay, so I have the holes. Some of these holes have circles around them. I can go through every hole or I can go through every other hole. How much you want? That's how you talk to your client, right? How much you want? How much would you like to have pulled through these holes? Would you like a heavy frost? Would you like a light frost? What you want?
I want a heavy frost.
He wants a heavy
No,
frost.
actually, I think I want.
No, he doesn't, because his hair already still has some damage on. Now I'm gonna tell him what he wants. His hair already has some damage on it from the previous frosting and the previous perm that he's had before. So I'm not going to do heavy. I'm gonna do every blue hole. He's gonna love it.
They,
Girls, this is gonna go like, okay.
they kind of hurt sometimes.
So what I'm gonna do, and I'll show you on the front right here when I start, is when I come through the front here, I'm just gonna like lay this flat onto the head. Okay, I'm gonna lay this flat onto the head. I'm gonna come in, grab it and pull some hair out. Just a little bit of hair, because his hair is getting thinner in the front. It's hot. I can feel his breath through his mask.
I have to be safe.
I know.
Social distancing.
So distanced from you right now. And I want to make sure that I do go in and pull this out all in the same direction. And you know, I might get a little bit more out of one section than I do the other, and that's okay.
Hey, Miss Connie, what happens if you pull the hair out of the other hole?
Yeah, that happens. It's okay. That just means that that hair came from that side. It happens sometimes, especially on the edges, like over here on the sides when you go to pull that out. Like I'm not even getting any hair.
So if you pull the hair out of the other hole that you have put in there, do you just go back to that hole and see if you get some more hair?
Well, you can, but you got to remember which side is thicker than the other. Because like, especially if you're right in here, you know, you're transitioning from the top to the sides. So if that hair there on that side has a little bit thicker, then you will get more hair. But I've pulled it out from the sides before, just leave it. It'll all blend together in the end. See what I'm over here on the sides, like there's not a lot of hair coming out. See, I just pulled it out of that one. When I pulled that, it just came out of the other hole. Maybe I'll go back and get a little bit more. I don't know how much hair do you?
I could have told you that.
You see how it's like coming up like this a little bit? I don't have to worry about trying to pull all those little pieces out yet. I can come back through with a brush and they'll come right out when I'm done. All right. Come on. I'm just not getting the right amount of hair with that I want. So I'm going to switch to this bigger one, the bigger one here. See, that's more like it.
Mm. It is so hot.
Your head helps really radiating a lot of heat. You can feel how hot someone's head is because there's a lot of heat coming out there. And you do want it to look kind of even as you're pulling it through here. So, you know, do double check with it and make sure you're not just starting out roll. In this case, I am starting out with fewer hairs in the front because he has fewer hairs in the front. And I am getting more as I go towards the back of the crown area because he has more hair back there. But that was something that I noticed all when I started in the very beginning. And see how sometimes, where we at? Sometimes on the top of this, you get like little pieces of plastic from the cap. So just be careful that you're not ripping it too much. Because again, we don't want to have like little cheetah stripes through here.
I have a question.
Sure.
So the stuff that we got from our kits, is that for us to keep or do we have to return it at the end of the year?
You return it at the end of the year.
Okay.
Well, at the end of the course, not the end of the year.
See, that one just pulled through a lot of hair right there. So he might have one big chunk. Stick
All
off
I can
the
see is
wall.
your eyes.
We could barely hear you, hon.
Yeah, all I can see is your eyes when you like look up.
Gotta hold it up higher. That's what she's saying.
My arms are tired.
No, like when I can see fine, but like when he like looks, like brings it down a little, I can see his eyes trying to like see what
Oh, me trying to look up.
yeah.
Well, she says you look funny. Is that what you're saying? He looks funny?
Is your microphone covered? You're really low.
Oh, probably.
Probably.
This is getting heavy. She's almost done.
Turn to the side so I can show you. So it's working my way back here. Now that I'm in the back, the angle's coming up this way. And see, it just pulled some of that out there. I guess I'll go back and pull a little bit more.
Miss Connie, why are you stabbing his head like that?
Back.
It hurts. She's literally like digging it into my scalp.
He's such a baby. I'm barely touching. I'm just going up like this, barely touching anything.
Those ones are good. You're stabbing.
Yeah,
the
now
shit
you're
out of
going
him, bro.
easy, but at first, I swear your scalp is bleeding, Donovan, for sure.
I'm pretty sure it is. Like, one is actually gonna be red.
Look
Look
at
at that.
Miss Connie,
Oh
look
my
at you
God.
doing. That
Take it
hurts.
easy.
Look at your guns.
You're next.
Like,
Okay, just to
flexing
let you
on
know. Renee is going to do this to you tomorrow.
Okay.
There you go, gentle.
Nice and easy.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go back through and look at this. Actually, I did put quite a bit here. Now see, I'm not gonna apply because that's pretty fried. I'm gonna be very careful down here. I'm probably only gonna apply to about right there because this hair down here is way too damaged. It would completely break off. We kind of go back through, make it look a little bit more even, maybe pull a couple more pieces here and there that don't look quite so even. Then I'm gonna brush it again, just to make sure I have all of this. And I'm really gonna concentrate at the scalp so the hair that did not get pulled through will come out. In the past, when we've done this, we've done every single hair, but we're not doing that this time. So, it's curly and it still has some previous stuff on it from before. And then maybe like within a week after this kind of settles down, because he just got it curled, what was it, Thursday we did it? Last Thursday we gave him the perm. So I'm gonna say that maybe by next week or the week after, he's gonna need a trim. It's just gonna look better with a trim on the ends. But he needs to go home and especially on this bottom part, reconstruct that with some reconstructive products. Okay, I'm gonna come in on this side over here, just a little bit more. Just to try to make it look even with the other side. Just a little bit. And it's not gonna be 100% even because, right, hair is not the same on one side as it is on the other, but we do want it to be sort of close. I need it to be on the side.
I was just trying to let everybody see.
There's like a hole right there. I'm just gonna go and see if I get anything out of it, and I did. Okay. Over here. Okay, so now we're ready to put the product on. So I'm gonna mix that, well, actually, I need to drape them.
Whoops.
Whoops. Started and I didn't even drape them.
Did you anesthetize your hand?
Yeah, I did.
You sure? I didn't see it.
Yeah, I did when I first walked in. It's over there in the corner. You didn't see it, but I did. Okay, so I'm gonna get some of this bleach and I'll be back in a second. So I'm just gonna mix it, 1 part bleach to 1.5 parts of developer, but I'm only gonna do about 1/2 scoop of bleach to 1 scoop of developer because that's going to make this, or that's gonna be enough product for his hair since we're not doing like the whole head. So I'll be right back.
Is that how you prep?
Symmetric transformation now, draped. So I used a 30 volume developer just because he's about a level 4 and I need to get that extra amount of lift. So I used 30 volume because 40 would blow open his cuticle too wide and his damage is just a little bit too much there for that. And a 20 just wouldn't give me enough lift. So I went ahead and mixed this with a 30. Make sure I mix it up really nice and good. So I'm just gonna start applying it. So I'm just gonna make sure that I get all this hair nice and saturated all the way down. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on here because I don't want it to go through those holes. So I just wanna make sure it's covered, but not press down hard on it. Not like if I had a piece of foil. If I had a piece of foil, I'd be using more pressure. I'm just gonna come through and make sure again that this is all saturated.
Do you have gloves on?
Sure, I'm not touching it.
We're saving gloves for healthcare workers.
If I was putting my hands in this, I would have gloves on. When those videos of healthcare workers crying because they don't have a pair of gloves and they're having to reuse gloves, I'll save mine for them. right, so now I got him sideways here, backwards. So it's gonna apply just a few hairs at a time to make sure I get it thoroughly saturated here. I'm getting down here where it's getting a little damaged at that point. So I want to make sure that I don't go farther than I need to. So I don't want to touch this hair down here. So I'm going to put this right on that spot so that this is now covering the hair that I don't want to get anything on. Oh, my stomach is growling. Did you hear that? So
Lunchtime?
no, I just ate a little while ago, but that was loud. Okay. And now I'm going to just come down here because I don't want to get it past a certain point. That's about all I want to put right there because of the damage that he has in his hair. It's already starting to turn that reddish color, which is the first color that we're going to see when we go through all these levels of decolorization. I'm just going back over this to make sure that I have it all covered. This is what it's called like frosting, right? Because it looks like frosting when you get it on the head. Okay, so now I want to keep the heat in, right? Because that's what's going to make it process a little bit faster. So I have a plastic cap, and I'm going to put this over his head. And now we're just going to wait. Now he could go sit underneath the heated dryer if he preferred to do that, because the heated dryer is what's going to make it process a little bit faster. It's already like that red-orange color. Still, it's pretty ugly. It's not a pretty color yet. So one thing with Donovan, his hair actually takes pretty light, even though it starts out so dark. Some people that have hair naturally as dark as his won't ever get as light as he does. What'd she say? What's this style called? This is called frosting. Yeah, it's called frosting.
Or it could be
Frosting
called
cap.
like tipping.
I'm not tipping. We're not doing just the tips. We're doing
Yeah.
the whole thing. So when it comes to doing some of the shorter hair, you know, it might not be long enough to get in foil. So this is a good technique to learn how to do so that you can get the shorter links in there. Because how would I foil weave his haircut? And he has a mohawk with a perm. How in the world would you foil weave that? You know, it would be a little bit harder. So some of the techniques or some of the haircuts that are shorter that they want, you know, maybe some highlights. Or let's just say he was 100% white and he wanted to put some darker color in his hair, but he didn't want to look like he was coloring his hair, right? I could do this to him instead of putting bleach on these strands that I pulled through. If his hair was 100% white, I could put black on there. And when I took that off, it would look like he just had some darker strand, you know, his hair was a little bit darker. So it'd be more like pepper than salt. If he looked like all salt, I pulled his hair through a cap, I put black hair color on there. By the time I took it off and washed it all out, it would look like he had more pepper in his hair than salt. So there's a lot of different coloring that you can use and getting different results just by using some of the same techniques. And it makes a difference. Right? So are you gonna,
I'll be
What
back
are you gonna
in
do?
30 minutes.
okay, he's gonna go work. Make it 20 and we'll check it.
I have my phone.
Oh, yeah, I use mine. Okay. So just sort of kind of finish out some of the color that we've been doing and give you an idea of some different formulas and things that you can use. Do you know the color wheel? That's always a good question. That's where you need to start. You need to learn that color wheel. If you don't know the color wheel, you're going to have a really hard time doing color. You could learn all the techniques you want, but if you don't know how to put the color together, you're going to have a hard time. So some of the main things that you should be remembering on this is, you know, does anyone know how many colors are on the color wheel? Anyone at all know that? No? Okay, there's 12. There's 12. Okay. You should make yourself very, very familiar with the color wheel. So those of you that are thinking, I'm not going to do color, you know, I'm just going to do something else. I'm not going to do color. Remember that coloring hair, I mean, lots of people color their hair, men, women, kids, you know, there's all different types of colors that you can use too when you color your hair. So let's just say from a man's point of view, he's about, you know, in his 20s and his hair is really short, but he's starting to get gray hair, you know, and wants to grow a hair a little bit longer, but you know, there's graying in the temples. Well, there's this 10-minute like men's hair color and 5-minute men's hair color that you literally just kind of wash it out. And it'll last for a couple weeks because it's only designed to last from haircut to haircut. And it kind of fades out by the time they come back to get their haircut again. And you give them a haircut and you put the color back in, and it doesn't remove the gray 100%, but it blends the gray. Okay, so now we have, let's say there's a woman in the 20s, you know, longer hair, same thing, graying in the temples, but doesn't need to color her whole hair. She just has some graying in the temples. Well, instead of doing a 10-minute hair color, you could do like a 30-minute hair color. And, you know, every month or so, we need to get that touched up. So there's lots and lots of different things that you can do out there with hair color, but you got to know which type of hair color to use and what technique you're going to be using to achieve the best results for your client. And that gets a little bit tricky. But if you don't know the color wheel, you are not going to know that what formula to use, what technique to use, what color to even pick. You have to know the color wheel. So let's just start with the basic color wheel, because that is pretty easy to figure out. You just got to memorize it. And you know what? Sometimes I have these days where, you know, you just have like a brain block. And like, I can't sit there and go, yellow and blue make what color? Because you can't remember. So this is why it's always nice to have, you know, a color wheel taped to, say, the inside of your color cabinet, or, you know, maybe in a drawer somewhere. So you can always pull it out and reference it, because believe me, there are days that you're just gonna like not remember. Everyone has that little brain hiccup every once in a while. And so I need to pull this up. I'm trying to get the color wheel up right now. And also with the color wheel, understanding where these colors are placed also makes a big difference. So it's coming now. Give me a second for it to come up. And we have, okay, I just admitted a few people. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so when we talk about the color wheel, we have right here the law of color. Okay, what that states is that there are only three primary colors. Oops, we'll get back to that. Three pure colors, I mean, and they're known as primary colors. And they're the only ones that are pure. What this means is that you, like, you know, you have a factory, but you yourself cannot take colors and make a red, a yellow, or a blue. Okay, that's what they're saying. Like, those are the pure colors. You can't make those colors. They're found in nature. Or if you have colors, you're gonna have a hard time making red, yellow, and blue unless you have red, yellow, and blue. Okay, now these things are known, the color wheel is known as a triadic, which means it's all in threes. So it goes from like the lightest to the darkest in the threes. So you have yellow at the top, you'll have red on one side and blue on the other side in like a triangle. So out of those three colors, which one do you think is darkest? Anyone?
Blue.
Yeah, blue is the darkest. So, with blue being the darkest, you will never see blue in anyone's hair, okay? Blue will come out first, you never actually see it. So what you usually end up seeing in someone's hair are the warmer colors, which are the red and the yellow. Okay, so now what they're saying on the color wheel is if you have a yellow at the top and you have a triangle, right? You have blue over here and red over here in this corner of the triangle, and they come up to where the yellow's at. If you mix these two colors together, so we got blue on one side and red on the other. So if you go ahead and mix red and yellow together, you get orange. Right in the center. Then on the other side, you mix red and blue together, you get violet. Then down here in the corner, you mix the, wait, that was yellow and blue make green, sorry. Then you come over here in this corner and you have the red, the blue and the red, you mix those two together, you get violet, okay? And they're all like 3 spaces across. When you mix the two primary colors together, they make what's known as secondary colors, which are orange, green, and violet. That's a test question, and the primary colors are a test question, and it's super funny to me because people always say that the primary colors are red, blue, and green. There's always green in there, and it's like, green is a secondary color? It is not a primary color. So remember how those colors are made. You mix those two colors together. By the time you actually break any color that you see down, I mean, I could, except for black, white, and gray, because that's known as grayscale. But if I'm looking at any color, like whatever I'm looking at, that's not black, white, and gray, and I break it down to its form, I'm gonna have some form of red, yellow, and blue.
Obviously.
Okay.
Love you, baby.
These brother, sister, baby. All right, so now when I mix the secondary color with the primary color, I'm going to get what's known as tertiary color. So when you break those down, you have yellow and orange, or yellow orange, red orange, red violet, yellow green, blue violet. So we have our triadic colors there and the triangles. in a triangular shape. And now we're making we're mixing the primary color with the secondary color. And this is what we're getting, our tertiary colors. So I know we all think of like green. I hope we all think green is a cool color. But you can actually have a green that is a warm color because it'll have more yellow in it. So it'd be more of a yellow green, but it still looks kind of green. Same thing with blue. You can have a blue that has a lot of yellow in it, and it would be considered a warm color. So paint, like mixing paint, if anyone's ever mixed paint together or worked in a store that mixes paint, they have some really different mixtures that, you know, you might not think of ever to put together, but you'll get some real pretty colors when you do. And that's exactly, you know, what the color wheel does, is it shows you where these colors are placed and what happens if you mix them together or if you don't mix them together. So to make that a little bit more easy, hopefully, this is how the color wheel is placed. You have 3 primary colors, you have 3 secondary colors, and you have 6 tertiary colors all around a circle like that in a wheel, right? It's a wheeled circle. So what we're looking at is warm colors versus cool colors. So anything from yellow to red violet is warm, and anything from violet to green is cool. Now, the reason why red violet and yellow green fall into the warm category is because yellow is warm and it's the first color. Red is warm and it's the first color. Anytime you have 2 letters like a YO for a yellow orange, both of those are warm, so that should be easy to figure out. But if you have a yellow green, you're like, oh, so yellow's a warm color and green's a cool color. But the fact that yellow is first, that makes it warm, because you usually end up having more of the first color. So if there's more yellow than the orange, there's more red than the orange, there's more red than the violet. You know, now could you have a violet red? Sure, you just have to have more purple than you would red. Could you have a green yellow? Sure, and that would make it cool because you'd have more green than yellow. So it's all about the way that these things are mixed, but that is not the basic color wheel. This is the basic color wheel right here. So we have warm and cool, 12 colors, 6 tertiary colors, 3 primary colors, 3 secondary colors. Okay, one other thing about the color wheel when we're looking at this is colors that are placed directly across from one another. So if I look at where that yellow is and I go straight across, I end up with violet. That's known as a complementary color. Yellow and violet are complementary colors. Red and green are complementary colors. Orange and blue are complementary colors. They're complement each other when they're right next to each other. Or if I was to mix yellow and violet together, they would cancel each other out and I'd have this like drabish, grayish, brown looking color. So one thing with hair color, let's say that I've lightened someone's hair and it's too yellow. I need to find a product that has a violet base to cancel out that yellow. Or it's too red. I need a product with a green base to cancel out that red. Or it's too orange. I need a product with a blue base to cancel out that orange. So that's kind of how those work. If you think about it, think about like flags of different countries or sports teams. A lot of them have primary colors or complementary colors in their colors that they wear for sports. I mean, I think of Lakers. One of the things that, or one of the ways that I remembered the complementary colors was Lakers Christmas Broncos, because of the colors, like the orange and the blue and the yellow and the violet and the red and the green. And that's how I remembered it when they wanted to know what my complementary colors were. I was like, Lakers Christmas Broncos gave me the colors. So that was definitely one way to remember this. Is there any questions on a color wheel? So if the test question said, if colors that fall within the orange half of the color wheel, they are known as what? And my choices are warm, cool, neutral, or purple, let's say, because you know there's always some weird answer in a test question. What would that be? So this chart right here, I thought was kind of interesting. What this is telling me is at a level 3, that's where violet is the purest in its color. At a level 4, that's where blue is pure. What's green? 5, yellow is 9, orange is 7, red is 5. This is where these colors are, you're gonna find these colors being the most pure. So what does that mean in hair color? Well, what that means is if someone wants this real intense purple, they gotta go dark because a level 3 is a dark color hair. If someone wants a really bright red, then they need to go at least a medium with the red, or it's not gonna look as bright or as intense as that client probably wants. So knowing where these colors lie now on the intensity, which is the lightness or the darkness of the color, or the brightness or the vividness of the color, knowing where they lie in that intensity, the brightness or the vividness, it's going to make a difference on how your colors end up when you're finished with them. So let's see where we at here. Okay, so this will make more sense in a second. So letters. This is how they identify colors, by letters, right? You have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, right? That's the Roy G. Biv, the rainbow song. So these colors here, if I had a RV, right, that's a red violet. When you pick up a tube of color or a package of color and you look at it, you're either gonna see letters or you're gonna see numbers. Well, you're also gonna see a name of a color. But if you came up to me and said, oh yeah, this color right here that I want is sunset brown, I'd be like, okay, you know, oh yeah, I kind of like that color of that fence board brown. I would be like, okay, that doesn't mean a thing to me. But if you said that it was a 5G, I'd be like, okay, I know exactly what that means. And G in hair color usually stands for gold, not green. But there are some greens, so you got to watch out for the difference on that one. But these will give us a little bit of some different ideas of what we're looking at. So think about that. You know, there's mahoganies and burgundies and auburns. You know, those are all kind of red to me. What do they look like to you, right? Each person's going to have a little bit of a different perspective on that. So we need to kind of learn what these things mean. Okay, so what else do we have on here? Well, it keeps going too fast. Let's see. Okay, slower. Okay, so each color is going to have a value. Now, just in basic chronology, we talk about fields or levels of color. You have dark, medium, medium, light, and light. That's general. Now, within that general category, those get broken down into even more different categories. but that's kind of how they talk about it. So if I say that it's a medium brown, you know, I'm gonna know that that's probably about a level 5 or 6. And we'll get to that probably right now. Okay. So in the United States, they have this like what they call a level system. Let's see if I can get my little whiteboard up here right now, because it'll probably make more sense if I can do that. So we have what's known as a level system here, and it goes by numbers, okay? So with 10 being the lightest and 1 being the darkest, and this is natural hair color now. There's lots of other hair colors that are involved in there, but this is just for your natural hair color. So as we're talking about our natural hair color, and those of you that don't have cameras on, turn them on, please. It seems like in here everybody has the same color walls. Because that's all I see is walls, and everyone has ceiling fans. Okay, so we've got 1 being the darkest, and then we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so if 10 is the lightest and 1 is the darkest, that makes 5 medium. This could be a medium brown. So if I'm going from medium, the 4 would be a dark brown. The 3 would be darkest brown. And then this would become black. Some color manufacturers do not make a level 1. Some color manufacturers do not make a level 2. So 1 or 2 usually ends up being black. If we have a 6, this is going to be a light brown. Then we're going to go to a medium, dark blonde, medium blonde, light blonde, and lightest blonde. Okay, so when you see the numbers, these coincide with numbers. So if I had like the 5G, like I said, I would have a medium brown gold. If I had an 8G, I would have a medium blonde gold. So not only do we have to know what these numbers mean, we also have to know what the letters mean. So every manufacturer has a, what's the word I want to use, has a system that, you know, they say, oh yeah, this makes my color better than your color. You know, they have these little tips and tricks and things like that. But standard, when we talk about standard, you're going to see an N or an NN series. That stands for like natural or neutral. You're going to see the G, like I said, which is gold. They'll have an R, which is red. They have an A, which stands for ash. Let's see, neutral, gold, red, ash. Oh, they usually have a violet, just a V. And then they'll have a B, which stands for beige. So when we're looking at these, just about every color line I've ever seen has these. Okay, this is gold, red, ash, violet, beige, And then this is, this is, stop, I don't want to do that. I hit the button, neutral. Neutral or natural. So if I had like a 6 RV, I'd have like a light brown and a red violet. So when you look at these bottles to read them, this is how it works. Now there's other companies, I know of one that has one that's COCOA, so they have like a cocoa. They have, you know, mahoganies. There's other ones on there, but that's just some of the basic ones. You know, so this is why, again, product knowledge is so important. But most manufacturers have this. Now, manufacturers like Wella, you might see a 5-stroke-5. Okay, so what that means in Wella is instead of having letters, and I know Gigi is like this, Wella is like this, and there's a couple other ones. But instead of having the letters to represent the colors, they have numbers. So the 5 is still the same. The first one, which is the 5, is still the lightness and the darkness of the colors. But then the letters over here, or the numbers over here represent the letters. I know that a 5 is red in that particular brand. I know like a 3 is gold. So they still have the same, you know, gold, ash, violet, beige, plus whichever ones that they make up in their labs, but they'll be represented by letters. I don't have that one all memorized yet. I still have to look at the chart when I'm trying to figure that one out. But I know like the 0 in that is natural. The 3 is gold, the 5 is red, and the 6, I think, is violet. Yeah, I don't know. I still have to look at the chart. I don't really remember them. Haven't been doing those as many years as I've been doing these. But this sort of gives us just an idea of how to read a color package. Because, you know, you need to know what you're using, right? You can't just go pick one up, and don't go by box colors. If you go to Walmart or you go to some other place, you know, CVS or something, and you buy a color off the shelf there, they're going to be, I mean, they'll say stuff like this, but it doesn't mean it's what you got, because it may not be the right stuff because they're not professional, you know, so don't go by those. All right, I need to go check on Donovan's head. It's 3:09, so let's come back at 3:20. So 10-minute break till 3:20. Oh. Okay, we were on break. Sorry, I'm like 3 minutes late coming back. I was looking at Donovan here to see what color we had, and I think it's still kind of yellow, but I just brought him in here so that you could see, so we could do a test strand here. So you can see what color we got, but yeah, it is too yellow for sure. But this is how you do a test strand, right? I'm just gonna take a little piece of this hair.
Hey, Donovan, where's your mask at?
In my office.
Let's call everybody out.
If you knew the CDC rules, it says that if you're less than 5 minutes with each other, there's no risk of transmission. So all she's doing is just
I've been around him
doing
since
a
day
test
one
strand.
anyway.
Yeah, plus she's like,
I'm healthy. Now just drying it off. Remember, you gotta do a test strand to stay bored. You're not gonna have real product though, so you're just gonna simulate this. But in real life, you wanna dry as much as you can so that you can see what it looks like. So as I pull this apart, it still looks kind of yellowish to me, but it's not. This is the color you want if you're gonna put a toner on, because you don't want it to get too I still think it's too yellow.
But I wanted like caramel.
Are you serious about that?
Yeah.
I can throw a toner on it then.
Yeah, I wanted like caramel.
Okay, so he says this is what he wants. So we are going to go rinse it off. I saw.
Is that a bunny? Oh, cute.
Saida, what's your name? Motion muted or something. So a question here was, how can you determine which product is reliable? So get a professional product. Don't buy something out of like CVS or Walmart. Go to, like Cosmoprof or something like that. Do your research on the product, first of all, too. Read the reviews, see what other people have to say about it. Ask the people that work at the supply places, see what other people say, because people that work at like Cosmoprof, they hear all kinds of stuff from the people that come in. They're a good source of information. So, ask around for that too. Just find out exactly what, people are saying. Most of the time, the ones that you can get at Cosmoprof, they're all going to be good. It's just going to be a matter of your personal preference. So he says that he wants a caramel color. I don't know what color he thinks caramel is, because I've seen everybody pick a color from caramel from a golden to a copper. So I have no idea exactly what he thinks caramel is. Go get the color chart. So we're gonna have him go get the color chart, and then we're gonna come back in and pick what color to put on. Because with the cap on his head, after I go to rinse this off, with the cap on his head, it's gonna be really easy to put the toner on, and it's not gonna affect his natural hair underneath. So that's gonna make it really easy to put a toner on. Judith, what are you making? I'm coming over. I see food. Just what I need, huh? More food.
What? Sorry.
So as soon as he comes back with the color chart, we'll pick the color. So yeah, every time someone says that they want, especially like a caramel or a blonde or whatever, we all have a idea in our mind of what color we think that is. So color charts are really good that way, to just kind of show you and give you an idea of what the client wants. But we have to make sure that we let the client know that we're not going to get the exact color in the book. I mean, there's just no way we're going to be getting this exact color that's in the book, but we can get close. We have to make the client aware of that. Don't ever finish a client's hair and take the color and go, oh, look, it's this, not the same color. Because yeah, it won't ever be the exact color as these swatches. For one, the swatches aren't even real hair. They're synthetic. So there's no way you're going to get real hair to look like synthetic hair. He's looking through them very carefully. You probably want to look at the ones that are yellow. That's going to be more of the caramely colors, I think, in my opinion anyway.
Actually, I think I want a P.
You want a what?
A P, like a 10P.
Oh, a pearl?
Pearl.
Where is it at?
It's been strokey.
Your hair's not light enough for that yet.
Either that one or like.
This will cut some of that yellow.
Yeah, but that's too dark for my hair.
It's not going to be that color. So he's looking at these colors here. He said he liked, which one was it? This one. This one right here, which is a pearl. Okay. So I could go ahead and put that on his hair, but it's not going to look like this because that yellow is coming through. You're probably going to get more in the range of like something like this. I told him that we should probably put this on his hair. And he said, well, don't you think that that's too gray or too dark? But it's not going to look like that because of the yellow that's still in his hair.
So what's that?
So I'm thinking, but we need to do it in the, in my permanent. So we'll take a little trip back there and go see, I'll take you guys with me. We're gonna go on a field trip. We'll go see what we can find as far as the toners go. Okay, so I said we're gonna use a demi-permanent, which means we're gonna use one of those colors that comes with its own developer. Come on, school it. So when you come back here into our little lab area, up on the wall, we have this chart. Okay, this chart up here tells us all the different colors and all the numbers that we're gonna need to know. Because remember, this one has numbers for the tones. So what this is telling us is that like 1 is a gray ash, 2 is green, 3 is gold, 4 is red, 3, 4 is orange, 5 is violet, 6 is red, or 5 is red violet, 6 is violet, 7 is brown, 8 is pearl, and 9 is violet, a darker violet. So when we look in our color cabinet here, we're gonna go with the semi-permanent, which is this color here. This is the red boxes. These are all semi-permanent hair colors. This starts at a level 4 and it goes up to a level 10. What we want to stay with for him is between a level 8, 9, 10. He's saying that he wants the pearl, but okay, let's think about this. Pearl hair color, his hair is yellow. With yellow, we need a violet to cut that out. So we need something that's gonna be a 6 or a 9, like a 6/8 or a 9/8 would be really good. But yeah, I don't see it in here. So we're gonna go with,
How about a 6/7?
we're gonna go 7's brown, you want that. We're gonna go with a 8/1, maybe. 8/1 would be good. 8, 3, 7, no, no 7s. 9, no, that's not gonna be good. I've actually never used that, it might be good.
Let's try it.
9/7,
Violet brown.
violet brown, but it's in a level 7. No, it's too dark. What's up there? 999. Hmm. 916 or 881. Yeah. 916. 89. 897. 789. It's a level 7. I think it's too dark. So we're gonna go with this 916, which is a level 9.
Make it red.
She says make it red.
Hey, Miss Connie, would you be doing like this, how you're doing it right now with a client, or would you have the color already set?
No, I would be picking it out because you never know exactly what color you're going to use until you see what color their hair comes up to be, how light it got, right? Because sometimes it might have a little bit more orange or it might have a little bit more yellow to it. So really, you never really know exactly what color you're going to use until you, no, it's the other one, 1.9.
So that's including regardless if the customer comes in saying that I want this hair color?
Yeah, because you got to see what color it's going to take. So you have to see how their hair comes up. You don't always know. And sometimes depending on if it's summertime or wintertime, their hair may just actually come up a little bit different too, depending on the time of year. Usually in the summertime, it is a little bit more lighter than it is in the winter. In the wintertime, a lot of times they just take slower, there's no heat, right? So these hair colors take a little bit longer to process. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and go with that. This one right here. I'm gonna have to
Red.
rinse
Get red. Red.
red. He doesn't want red.
I love red.
I know, it looks good on you too. Yeah, he doesn't want red. He would cry. But I'm gonna rinse this off his hair and you can see how yellow it's gonna be once I get it rinsed.
So how would you go about it if you're doing it at the house?
I wouldn't do it at the house, just saying. The house is the last place that I would be doing anyone's hair. I'm just looking to see what else we have up here. But I think we're good with that. Okay, so we need to rinse his hair off first. So let's wash. Yeah, I need to grab a towel really quick.
Get a towel.
This water's gonna be so cold.
We'll get another towel in a second. All right, yeah, we haven't turned the water on all day, so he's gonna be freezing with this on his head.
I'm so scared.
You're not gonna feel it much with the
Got a
cap
cat.
on. Oh, I need some shampoo.
Oh.
So now I've rinsed it off and I'm just gonna give it a light shampoo. As you can tell, it's pretty yellow. I feel like, and I'm just checking for the elasticity here. It's not bad. The ends are bad. Ends are kind of fried, but the rest of it seems to feel okay. Luckily for him, he's Asian. So Asian hair actually handles a little bit more than like Caucasian hair would be able to handle. Caucasian hair would probably be broken off by now. Okay, so I'm just gonna do a light shampoo on this. I'm not even gonna really scrub. I'm just gonna kind of run some shampoo through here just to get this residue product residue off.
Residual?
Sure.
Why do you wash with the cap on?
Because I wanted to get the product residue off. Now I'm gonna just apply this toner right over that, but what I'm gonna do is just kind of pull this hair through, make sure it's coming out and it didn't like kind of sink back into the holes there. Have your, go ahead, set it for a second. I'm gonna just towel dry this a little bit here. And then I'm gonna go mix the color up. Now the color that we're using, because it's a semi-permanent hair color, it is mixed 2 to 1, which means it's 2 parts developer to 1 part color, where most regular hair color that's a permanent hair color is mixed 1 to 1, but this is mixed 2 to 1. The developer that I'm using is very low in strength. It's like a 1.9, so we're not gonna get any lift out of that. We're just gonna get a lot of deposit on top of his hair here. So we're gonna go mix that real quick. He's gonna sit here at the shampoo bowl. So we're gonna have my client wait for me right here while I mix it. You don't have to stay all day.
Go with her. He said to show them what you do.
So I've got the scale here. I'm gonna put this on here. I'm gonna zero this out. I'm thinking with his hair, I probably only need 0.25 of an ounce because there's not a lot of hair there. And when it's wet, you always kind of seem to use less. So I'm going to put my developer in first. So I'm going to go to 0.5. No, that's too much. If I'm doing 2 parts, it's double, 2 to 1. So I'm going to do, I'm terrible at math. Who's good at math? No, you want farther. No, I want to do 0.5. Yeah, I'll just do 0.5. 0.4. I'm terrible at math. Okay. So that's 2, right? 2, yeah, 2 5. So one thing about turning these colors also is that there's this key, and this makes it real easy. It turns like a tube of toothpaste. You just slide this on here, clear this back out. Okay, so I went to 0.23. If I tried to go to 0.25, I'd probably go to 0.35. So I'll just stop it at that. Back. And now I just want to mix this up. A lot of times developer comes out a lot faster than color. So if you can break it down like that, I like to put my developer in first. And really just work this around. All right, so now we're ready to apply.
And so we could go over that with Sue tomorrow or Friday.
So you can apply this right at the shampoo bowl.
Come up with a plan.
And we're just gonna, again, brush this right back on, just like we did before. One thing with this toner too, it takes 5 to 20 minutes to develop, so it's not like we're gonna be developing it for a long time. You don't have to wait for it to process.
Because they have to still use their tracking tool, track their time, which is their cost.
So it's a 5 to 20 minute processing time, and you can probably already see it start to develop. Set up a little bit. Oh, see, I would have missed that whole thing. I didn't even see this.
Your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday work, you don't need to do, you're going to be signing off each day. Yes, you did these in the operations, or here I do the demonstration for you, but you know what I'm saying, the other 2 days I assigned, like the 2 hours of theory on the recorded one that we're going to do on Thursday and Friday, and the 2 hours of practical, those are going to be on that you guys decided. Any other work, you already should know because you're getting credit for the time we're working.
Okay, so we're just gonna let this process probably about 5 minutes.
If they ever screwed it up, we didn't catch them on the time.
And now if I was to have any color left over in my bowl here, you can already see up here it's starting to change. I would have to take a paper towel, wipe my bowl out with the paper towel, take whatever's left over in this bowl and put it in the trash, and then wash my bowl out with soap and water and then disinfect it. One thing about hair color, if you put it down the drain, and this literally just happened at my shop, like last week. Was it last week or the week before? Week before. It'll clog your sink up super fast. It clogs sinks up really, really fast. So we don't want to be putting any chemicals down the drain either, because what does it do to your drain, right? Or your storm drain, you know, for this water city, whatever we're on. So we want to make sure that we're real careful when we go to dispose of this and we do this correctly. See, I can already see this is starting to change a little bit up here. As I go to check a test strand, it's not quite as yellow as it was before, but I just want to cut that off. When you're lightening, one of the colors that you should probably look for when you want to go really light is like the inside of a banana peel. When you're trying not to go quite so light, look for something like 14 karat gold. 14 karat gold will make it a little bit easier as far as what a pretty color would be. Okay, and he runs away. We're going to get a towel. Side, I keep saying put red. Put red, put red, put red. If I leave it on long enough, cider, it might be pink. Which we're not gonna do that, but I need to grab another towel.
Did we get a good roster for her for next week? Yeah, we do. Really? How many are coming? 9. Oh, Gina is gonna be there too, right? So there's only, Danielle's the only one that's actually not, she's on the floor working on ops, right? Okay. So does that include Danielle or no? Okay, so you have. Yeah. Yeah. I know, you. That would be good. So you can see. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'll be good. So on Friday. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, for sure. It's always good to know what he tells the students when they start. You know how oh, yes.
I literally say the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah.
It's like a memorized script I have in my head.
Yeah.
But once I start.
Okay, cool. Perfect, perfect. Sounds good. So you got lots to do still, this week and stuff. Yeah, Connie, so I figure like, Miss Michelle, in the morning when she gets here, you know, and the thing is, because there's, what I would do is I would
Can
just
you
like
mute
carry Cherry and sit by the back.
Can you mute it? I don't want them to hear everything.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is probably developed by looking at this, pulling that up. Yeah, that looks fine. I don't want to leave it on too long because I don't want it to look gray. So it's gonna be cold on your head when I take the cap off. So we're just gonna rinse this off. If you were paying attention to the color before, you can see that it's definitely a different color. Okay, so we're gonna pull the cap off now and look at the wet noodles. Doesn't that look like wet worms or something? The first time, I know you can't, but the first time I ever, get it down here a little bit more. The first time I ever took a cap off and I saw the hair like this, I totally just freaked out. I thought for sure I had done something wrong, but that's what it's supposed to look like. So I'm just gonna run some shampoo through this now. I'm not scrubbing a whole bunch because, you know, he just had a chemical service done and I don't want to rough up the hair too much, but I do want to just remove the product residue, residual product. And this is going to be cold.
Come on, just do it.
He's like, come on, just do it. And now we're going to run some conditioner through here because he needs it. And then next week, we're going to give him a haircut. I just put starting at the ends, right? Because that's where his hair is the most. Working my way towards the scalp. One thing too, when somebody gets a perm and then they get a highlight or a hair color on top of it, sometimes it can kind of make the perm look a little bit less curly. And that just has to do with the elasticity of the hair because, you know, it's double chemicals, right? You got your hair color and then you got your perm. In this case, we've just triple processed his hair. So there may be some, you know, not as much curl as there was earlier in the day. And I'll come back and clean my sink. in a minute. It's always more noticeable when it's dry. Okay.
Wait.
Let's go comb you out. Yeah, let's go. Comb out.
Well, look at there.
I don't know how to do that.
Okay, so it's gonna comb this out. I don't know what kind of product he wants to put in there, but it's a wild one.
She's a wild one, Mr. Grinch.
It looks nice.
Thank you.
Can you see the color?
Yeah, it's nice.
You guys could see it styled tomorrow if you guys come to school. Hopefully we see y'all.
Turn around so I can see the back.
It looks good.
Thank you, y'all. See y'all tomorrow.
Okay, so yeah, next thing he needs is a haircut. He needs a trim. So we'll do that next week. And then that way you can all see, you know, the haircut when he's done. But yeah, that's it. Any questions?
What's homework?
Homework. You have a frosting cap at your house? Have you used it yet?
I have one. No, I haven't used it.
Okay, well, that's your homework. Try pulling some through. If you have a frosting cap, try pulling some hair through on it. You can reuse them because it's just your doll head. But yeah, try it.
I didn't get one.
Okay. Then do a color op. It's all color. Everything's color. So if you don't have a frosting cap, just do a color op. And that'll be your homework. Did you guys got the pictures of the stuff that was up on the board, right? We wrote it on the board for you in the classrooms and out on the floor. That is also, you know, homework if get done, because we got to make sure that we're getting your 6 hours. So the ROPs, you guys have packets, so you guys don't have to worry about it. But if you still have your frosting cap, try it, because that'll give you, you know, another hour. So
Question. We got this thing. It's like the procedure and then preparation. What do we do with this?
writing out the steps. So like right now for this frosting cap, you would be like, you know, pulling the hair through, applying the color, doing your test strands, you know, it's just like writing out the steps, like step by step of what you're doing. Okay, it's called a rubric. And that's what those things are for. Take a picture of those when you write it out, just take a picture of it and send it in. So it'd be like frosting with a cap, you know, step by step, take a picture of the rubric and text it in, and that's you've done it. You know, when you, well, I mean, you actually have to do the procedure, but you know, we don't have to have 50 pictures, just, you know, one picture is good.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, those of you that are going to be here tomorrow, we'll see you tomorrow. Those of you that are going to be here Monday.
Someone came in late.
Huh?
Someone came in late. Melissa?
I got you down, Melissa. I got, coming in late, I had Nick, Melissa, and Alicia. So I've got you down.
So is there a Zoom class tomorrow, or is that for something else?
No, there won't be a Zoom class tomorrow. So that's when you guys are going to be working on your packages and all of the other things. Okay, that's for ROPs. Okay. All right, you guys can go ahead and sign off. I'll stay on for a couple minutes. If anybody has any questions that they could think of, you know, I'll still be hanging out here for a minute. If not, then I will see you guys later.
So the text message and the board come priority to what you just said, or is it what you say and then whatever the board or text